So what does the financial community think of the budget and the finance minister's roadmap for a return to balanced budgets? Martin Stringer spoke with Andrew Dunn, senior partner with the firm Deloitte.
Andrew Dunn, a general question. What is your overall impression of this budget?
Well, I think he's done a few things quite well. He's looked at the budget cycle as a multi-year effort. He's demonstrated, at least he's identified a path to getting the really record deficit down to a sustainable debt to GDP ratio. We're also happy that he has decided not to defer the corporate tax reductions that were originally proposed a few years ago and that called for scheduled rate reductions in 2011 and 2012. He's left those intact, and we're happy about that.
How realistic is his plan?
Well, there's certainly a lot of variables, and the further you go out in time, the more variables that there will be. Roughly half of Canada's revenue is collected from personal tax. And so a key part of his ability to achieve those targets is getting Canadians back to work. And so we probably would have liked to see a little bit more detail about exactly how that's going to happen. And we similarly would like to see ways of attracting more high-potential, high-performing, entrepreneurial individuals to Canada. We have a increasing demographic issue. And ultimately, a more attractive personal tax system is going to be a key part of making sure that 50% of our revenue remains robust.
You mentioned attracting talent, maybe more specifics in terms of job creation. Anything else that's left out, that's omitted in this budget? There's
a few things that we would have liked to have seen. They did propose to study their research and development credit regime. We see Canada has historically been very proud of its regime on this front. The program to provide investment tax credits is generally okay. But many other countries have really looked hard at this area in the past few years, and we find that many other countries now have much more generous systems. In particular, many countries now have refundable credits that apply to a much broader proportion of businesses than are available in Canada. And so, even though there's a proposal to study it in the budget, we would have liked to see a little bit more specific detail about what they have in mind.
If there's a message to this budget, we always look for a message, a political message or a message to Canadians. If there's a message, how would you sum it up?
Well, I think that there's several elements to this. Certainly that it's a budget proposing stability, and it's looking at multi-year planning. But it is a little bit short on detail. And there are many elements of things that are proposed to be studied in the budget. And if I remember back to the 2007 budget, Flaherty proposed to study Canada's international tax competitiveness and produced a really excellent group that produced a study in 2008. And now it's 2010, and we see very little action on those very specific proposals that were introduced at that time. And now we have roughly half a dozen, maybe more, we haven't counted all of them exactly yet, studies proposed in the budget. And we hope that there will be faster action on some of the ways that will make Canada more attractive for investment.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure.